Hey you, my name is Tomska Ridgewell, and welcome back to Thanksday, a series where I introduce you to the people behind the camera, the names you may not know and the jobs you may not understand. In this series so far, I've introduced you to animators, sound designers, composers, and a whole lot of post-production crew, but for this video, I thought it'd be interesting to introduce you to the entire crew of a media production, and also the people that have helped me sustain this life, who have been behind me, enabling me, my enablers, the people responsible for all of this, basically, those who aren't to blame. To stop this video from being obscenely long, I'm going to skip over some of the productions where a separate company has come in and provided the crew. I'm going to be just focusing on the people that I have hired and paid and brought on to do a specific thing, basically. So, let's talk about how things get made and who makes them. Here's a question for you. Who is the most important person on the set? Who is essential? Who is needed to make a film big or small?
The director!
You might think it's the director, but it's actually a producer. The producer is the manager. This is the person that brings everyone together, that makes sure that there is a team, and in some instances that team doesn't fall apart. Without a producer, you have a director who just has a vision and no crew to enact that vision. You have a writer who wrote a script and no one to make that script happen. No, this is the most important role. And obviously at the start of my YouTube career, I was just the producer by default. I would be saying, hey, friends, come together and make this thing. And it would be very unprofessional, and that's fine. When I went to university, I had a bunch of my friends and classmates be my producer technically. There was Chris Rankin, there was Emma Price, there was Chris Bingham, but it wasn't until I moved to London and actually set up shop properly as Turbo Punch Limited that I got an in-house producer by the name of Crystal Smith. Crystal, the producer's job, would basically be to make any idea that I had a reality, any stupid script I had written come to fruition. If I had written something wherein I needed a wedding scene, she would find that church, organize things with that church, make sure there was a crew together and they knew where to go and they knew when to be there, and make sure that everything was also safe, that there was insurance, that there were health and safety forms, that it was all legal, above board, and it just didn't completely fall apart. Basically, it's the difference between an amateur production and a real thing that actually isn't bad. Wow, Tom, good words today. Someone should have produced this video. That's for sure. Eventually, Crystal decided that film production wasn't for her, and my creative partner Eddie stepped in to fill her shoes, which is very impressive because her shoes were quite small, and he is a 6-foot-something man, so I imagine he has very painful feet at all times. So now, and for the past 5 years, it has been Eddie Avengers assembling the crew and making sure the productions are managed and happen as they are supposed to. That's not to say that I haven't cheated on Eddie with other producers though. Sammy Paul has produced a sketch, Matt Holt, industry professional, has produced a couple as well. I sleep around, what can I say? Now you may have heard the term executive producer before, and this is not someone who's really involved in the actual production, in the actual making of a thing. This is more someone who has made sure that thing happens, either through providing funding or just ensuring that something goes ahead through industry connections. For example, I was an executive producer on Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. All I did was give them money. That's all I did, and I got that title in exchange because I wanted to see it happen. So I am pretty much the executive producer of all of my sketches, unless of course there's a brand paying for it, in which case I guess they're technically the executive producer. Now, let's move on to directors. This is probably the job that everyone already knows and has a pretty good idea of what it entails. This is indeed the artiste, the person with the vision, the one telling the actors what to do and how to do it and having the final artistic say on pretty much everything. And unsurprisingly, this is a job that I mostly do myself. Not that I really want to be doing it myself. I am in front of the camera a lot of the time, which means that a lot of the directing I do is remotely, just kind of guessing. So I have had other people come in and direct sketches for me to make sure that I'm performing well and that the crew are actually doing a good job. Jack Howard directed Sniper Pug. Elliot Goff, the editor of this very video, directed/co-directed a whole bunch of sketches. And Eddie Bowley co-directs all of Crash Zoom with me and he directed his niece in Secret Santa because I didn't want to. I was dressed as Santa Claus. I don't want to talk to a child dressed as Santa, destroying her reality, and then I murdered her. Now, for a director to do their job properly and just focus on the artistic stuff, they need someone who's taking away all of the stresses from them. They don't need to be worrying about where the cast and crew is, if they're going to be at the right place at the right time, if things are going according to schedule, and that is where an assistant director comes in. They are essentially more like an on-set producer. They are one of the least popular figures on a set, basically. They are there to be a professional nag. They have to eat their lunch separate from the rest of the crew because the crew needs time to complain about them. That's genuinely true. I've been on multiple sets where that's happened. Now, because my videos are often quite small-scale productions, whoever is the producer is also often the assistant director because they can handle it. There's not that much work to be done. So Eddie Boley has been the assistant director on a lot of things, but I've also brought in other people on large things where we need to delegate some of the work because there's just too much to do. That's where Matt Amos has come in, Mike Histon, Matt Holt, Daniel Smith. It's a very necessary evil job. Like I said, they're there to crack the whip, and no one's really happy about it. Now, of course, no production, big or small, can happen without some form of a script. Actors need to know what they're saying, and directors need to know what art they are realizing. And I've already made a video on this. It is called I Wrote This Video Myself, but I have worked with a couple writers since then, Alexander Holland for Beard and Matt Lay for Let Me In. But you can check that video out. Is it on the screen? Is it in the description? I don't know. There are also directors of photography, camera operators, cinematographers, the people who actually film the damn thing, that capture the images. I've already done a video on that as well. It is called Just Shoot Me, link somewhere. But it's also worth noting, since making that video, Elliot had to film Meanwhile 4D with some ridiculous 180-degree camera. Sorry, Elliot. But these magical camera wizards also often need assistants to do their job effectively and promptly. They need someone who is carrying their camera around, who is replacing the lenses, the battery, the film, if we're still using film. And these are called, unsurprisingly, camera assistants, or assistant cameras. Strangely, ACs. We just call them ACs. And, as always, I've had a number on my sets. Daniel J. Layton, David O. Quigley, Matt Amos, Claire Jarvis, Rachel Hutchings, Lee Burnett, Erin Hopkins, Elisa Spigariol, Dan Williams, and once again, Elliot Goff, who never wanted to be a camera assistant, but has been forced by sheer necessity and scale of production to adopt the role many times, until he said, "I'm never doing this again, you can't make me." And I said, damn, you're right. On larger scale productions, there are also gaffers and grips. These are the people setting up the lights, moving the heavy equipment about, making sure that everything is working. But I never really need those. And if it is, it's on a massive thing where a different company has brought in the crew. So I got no one to name here. Of course, it's not just the visuals that need capturing, it is also the audio, and that is why we have things like boom operators, sound recordists, sound designers, and obviously I've made a video on that already. It is called Good Sound Sounds Good, linked somewhere, and since making that video, I've worked with another fellow called Liam Abbott. Sounds good, man. What? There's also set designers and art directors. These are the people that make sure that the set, the space, the world in which the actors inhabit looks believably like the thing it's supposed to look like. But this is a role I've never really personally hired anyone to do. It's usually just the people on the set, a merging of jobs. I have had set designers and art directors on productions, but it's always been much bigger things where I never really met that person. Eddie once turned his dad's office into a fire chief's office. Does that count? I think so. Now, while the set designer is making sure that the world looks good, we also have to make our actors look good, look like the things they are supposed to be, and there is a number of jobs that covers that. First of all, we have prop design and construction. That's exactly what it sounds like. I don't have to explain that one. I've worked with Chloe Dungate, Sylvia Ville, the ridiculously talented Louise Fricker, and Crystal Smith once made a ridiculous bird. There's costume and wardrobe, which is pretty much exactly as it sounds. The person providing the costumes, sometimes making the costumes, putting the costumes on the actor, just costumes, costumes, costumes. I've largely worked with one person for this. That was Sylvia Ville, who has provided some weird, wonderful, and wacky costumes over the years, but also Chloe Dungate has handled a couple projects. And there's hair and makeup, and obviously there's not that much traditional hair and makeup that goes into my videos. You know, someone can powder my face to make me a little less shiny, something I probably could have done today, but usually I'm the one putting my own hair up. However, makeup, SFX, prosthetics, wounds, skin changes make you look like an alien, that's something that I have done quite a lot with a lot of different people. Chloe Dungate, Emma Pickles, Claire Delise, Christos Inez, Mandy Hines, Sylvia Ville, Edie Flowers, Cherry Wallace, Rachel Lanning, Erin Stevenson, and Alexia Jade. You want someone to fall over? You want someone to pretend they've been hit? You can do that. You can just tell someone to do that. However, if you want them to do it actually safely and have it look good, you're going to need a stunt coordinator. And that is why I've worked with Joe Golby on a number of videos, because he just knows how to make it look good. He tells those folks what to do, and they're like, whoopah! And they're like, wah! I've done your work a disservice, Joe, I'm sorry. And then, of course, there are the stunt performers that are as trained, if not more trained than the actors, but less acknowledged than the extras. They are the ones who sell the punch, who do the flips, who potentially lay in the mud for hours on end and get hypothermia, and their names are on screen right now. And then, of course, there are the actors, professional or more often than not, amateur, and I'm not going to list all of the actors I have worked with because they're in front of camera. That's not really what this series is about, but I still owe them a massive, massive thanks because they're the ones who sell the jokes. They get the laughs, but they are also the most noticeable people in frame, so not quite as necessary to point them out one by one. The extras, however, while again there are too many to mention, are just wonderful people who come, be in the background, they get very little acknowledgement, very little thanks, they're there all day, it's extremely boring, but you can't sell a lot of scenes without them, so thank you so much to everyone who has ever given me time, given me their entire day in exchange for maybe some catering and maybe travel expenses. You're all masochists? I think it's the word? Yeah, you're masochists. Now, the last people I want to talk about in the actual set of a production are the on-set assistants, the runners, the caterers, the gophers. Why are they called that? Because they go for this, they go for that. These are the people running from one side of set to the other to grab an actor. They are the people taking lunch orders and going out and getting them and bringing them back. They are the helpers. And this has often just been a role that the friends, the partners, just everyone I've known in my life has taken at one point, and their names are on screen now. It's basically just everyone I've ever known. They're all there. Thank you, guys. Now, when you've finished filming, you've got a whole lot of footage and you need it edited, and that's where the editors obviously come in. And yes, I've made a video about this too. It is called Cut My Life into Pieces, and it is somewhere. And since making that video, I have worked with Kai Newton on a handful of videos. Nice guy, you can hire him. You want to add visual effects, you want to green screen someone into a scene, you want to remove blemishes or things that weren't supposed to be there, you're going to need a visual effects artist like Dave Brain, who I worked with recently, but also all the other ones I mentioned in the video, Pew Pew Explosions. Maybe a film needs music, it needs an original score composed. That's where you're going to want someone like Jeremy Hunter, who has been providing a lot of lovely Scar tunes to some of my recent videos, or the Gregory Brothers, who I made the Muffin song with, or, of course, everyone else mentioned in the video, Beautiful Eargasms. Maybe you're not making a live-action, real people film at all. Maybe you're making a cartoon. You're going to need an animator, Billy Crinion, Mike Pitts, Adzi, or everyone else mentioned in the first video in this series. I am not an animator. And maybe that cartoon needs backgrounds, or maybe it's not a cartoon at all, it's still images, and you're going to need an illustrator like the ones mentioned in 3-2-1 Draw, and more recently, Andrew Kemp, who I worked with for a mysterious unreleased project that will one day be released, hopefully, although, I don't know, lockdown's never going to end, is it? Here's a weird one. You ever need a robot in something? You're going to need a Roboteer. James Cooper was the one controlling Sir Killot in Robot Wars. Very scary robot. Nice guy, though. And then, when everything is done, when the video is uploaded or the film is released to the masses, it needs subtitles. I'm usually the one subtitling videos on the main channel, but also Elliot Goff has subtitled the entire back catalogue of Tomska, and we're working on Dark Squidge. They're just longer videos. We're doing them one by one. We'll get there. Subtitles are a right, and all creators with a large enough audience should make the effort to get them done, so that the hard of hearing and non-English speakers can follow along too. Before I move on from production, I mentioned at the start of this video that there were a number of teams or videos that I wouldn't really be covering because the creative people involved weren't hired by me. They were provided by a different company or as part of a brand deal, but I still want to mention and acknowledge them in some way. There's the team over at YouTube Studios who enabled Christmas Demolition. There's the folks at Ha-Cha-Cha that produced Guitar Warfare and provided a ridiculously massive crew, the biggest one I've ever worked with to date. There's the folks over at BBC Comedy, particularly our producer Jane Bell, who oversaw Primitive Correctness and all the other sketches we made for them, for that sketch show that never happened. There's the other BBC teams that produced Robot Wars and Time Trouble, and there's Color TV, particularly the producer Rebecca Hewitt, who oversaw Baby with a Gun too. So that's everything I want to talk about regarding production around making stuff, but what about making this? Well, this was my parents, and I don't want to talk about how they did that, but all of this, about maintaining Tomska and Dark Squidge and just making sure all of this functions. Did you know I have a personal assistant? I don't have a personal assistant, but whoever I have as my producer, so initially Crystal and then Eddie, is also responsible for a number of personal assistant-like adjacent duties, such as making sure that emails get responded to and that people get paid on time. It's not as luxurious as getting coffee and doing the laundry, but if I was left in charge of that, as I have been before, and as you may have seen before, hence the start of this series, shit doesn't get done on time, if at all. I basically can't function well as an adult. The photographs of me that you see in display pictures or across my branding, they had to come from someone, from some professional photographer. Rebecca Need Munir, Rachel Kiki, Elisa Spigariol. Elisa, I'm sorry, I know I get your name wrong. I'm so sorry. Merchandise. I'm not a factory. I don't take care of printing and shipping off the t-shirts and posters that we sell. That's where folks like Shark Robot come in, Brandon and Vincent. I've been working with them since 2011. Conventions, if you remember those, when I'm there meeting you lovely people, I need people I can trust selling the merchandise, taking the money. Eddie Bowley, Chloe Dungate, Alisanne Stacey, Matt Lay, and so many others over the years. There's management. I can't be trusted to secure deals, book deals, brand deals, meal deals. I've had managers over the years, the folks over at Above the Fray, Mike Cook, Fleur Brooklyn Smith, Marianne Turton, more recently, WME, Matt Harvey. These are the people negotiating on my behalf and making sure that brand deals come in and that we are paid for those. Again, I've tried to do it myself. I just say, hey dude, trust me, I'll make funny video. And they leave. And here's just some weird projects that didn't really fit anywhere else. I made a couple books with Little Brown publishers, Hannah Borsnell, Rhiannon Smith. These were my editors, my publicists, very helpful, lovely people. I made a video game, Cat Attack, doesn't exist anymore, but Jim Booth was the producer. We made a card game, and I've got to give a huge thank you to the team at Big Potato, particularly Nat Aves, but also Becky, Dean, just the whole lot. There's a lot of people. Okay, the point of this whole series really is that I have worked with a phenomenal number of brilliant, talented people, and I would not be where I am today. I would not be who I am, and I certainly would not have been able to make the things that I have released without them. And I know that. I'm very aware of them. I want them to know that, and I want them to know that I'm very grateful. So if you are watching this, if you're one of the people I mentioned, thank you so much. If you're one of the people that I've worked with that I haven't mentioned in this video, I'm very sorry. I tried to cover everyone, but I know there are some people I've missed, but I am aware that I would just not be here without you. Thank you. And I hope that you watching this video have an appreciation for that, just for that fact, that I wouldn't be you wouldn't be experiencing this were it not for a lot of people. And that is true for a lot of creators. And if you yourself are struggling to make stuff and wondering how other people are doing it, that is something to be aware of. That is something to consider, that no man is an island. Is that how that phrase has worked? I don't really know. I think that's it. I think that's it for this series. Going forward, I implore you to read the credits of videos, although I know that's an exceptionally boring thing to do. But if you're interested, go ahead, dive into it. I'll make sure that I keep my credits detailed and link to everyone that has a social media thing I can link to so that you can find out the things that interest you. Thank you for watching, I guess. That's it. This has been an incredibly niche series where I just list things. Very boring on the surface. Probably very boring at its core as well. But thank you for sticking with it. And I think I'm done now. I think I'm finished with this series. So I want to say thank you, but I shouldn't. I think I've said it enough times now. But thank you. I'm going to go. All right? And make something else. Read the credits. Tomska out.